Market recap for Monday's price action on the 10th of November 2025, right? As you can see, not much on the chart, and I'm going to keep it strictly to one chart only. We're not going to have all the three templates up because there was just no need. It's a simple and easy day to read, and I can actually put everything on one chart without needing to go too crazy. Anyway, not yesterday, Friday's price action started us by dumping, and I said, now, once we're done, and here we were done when we reached sell side, what's left right now was buy side. We had buy side here that we reached, the initial buy side here at London, and then Asia buy side. And that was my target, right? That initially was my target. Let me just double check one thing. And there was 9:30 buy side as well, but that doesn't really matter too much right now. Okay, so these were the targets, right? So now market opens right on Sunday, shoot straight for them, right? This is before midnight, so we know we've taken buy side and we've taken sell side. So at this point, at Asia, market is basically reset, right? Think about it. This it shouldn't be blue. Alright, this is Asia sell side. This is Asia buy side. Okay, so Asia starts, launches up, and consolidates. Okay, then London starts making sell side liquidity, buy side liquidity, then consolidates. Right, and then at 9:30 we go and attack one liquidity. Okay, so at this current day I have no bias. Right, so let's just start it up from the daily. Why do I have no bias? Right, it's pretty simple because I don't know if we have made the low, right? Last time we went to discount liquidity, right? And then the PD array, I can't really tell you defined what really is the PD array, right? Like there's stuff on the 4 hour, but I'd like to see something on the daily. However, we go all the way to the discount at this range, and that was the only big swing point. So we take that liquidity and then reverse, right? I don't know if we're gonna stay bearish or we're gonna push higher. And to me, what defines if we're bearish or bullish is this big red line that you will see, which is the mean threshold on this daily order book, right? So as long as we don't close above it, right? Then like properly, right? On like a 5 minute time frame, right? For example. That's what I use to be like, okay, we closed above it. So here we're still bearish, but once we've done this and then even prominently done this here, I'm bullish. Okay, so that's the idea right there. I'm bullish. However, right now I'm bearish, right? And let me explain why. First of all, this is just to me, right? This type of day setup is DLP4, right? And DLP4 says wait for discount first before you do anything, right? And I'm gonna explain this later, but let me explain the first trade. Um, so market opens with all of this smooth sell side, right? Look at it. 9:30 opens, comes down, just takes this little low here, and then zooms up, right? This is obvious that it's going up to go down. Look at all these relative equal lows, and then we have right here our initial buy side as well, right? So we could just put some dollar sign on that, right? So we know we're gonna at least come to that, at least minimum, right? But then also there's all these liquidities under it, so might as well just one time swoop more. The fact that we don't even attempt to go to that and then just go up, it's obvious we're going up to go down, right? So there is three ways that I actually look at price when it goes up to go down. One is we're gonna do it in the 10-10 macro, right? And just end it there. And see price goes at 9:47 trying to go down, right? And it reaches the PD area that I'm interested in. In the 4 hour, what I'm looking at was this fair value gap, right? And at that time we're already inversing it. So we had to go higher. So then now I'm using the 1 hour, and then I'm looking at two main things. If they break, that's it. I'm looking at the order block, the opening price, because it's a series, it doesn't really matter. It's technically the change in state delivery here, and the order block, I mean the breaker block, right? So this is the main things I'm looking at on the hourly that I want to hold. And on top of that, the mean threshold is just to know if we're bearish or bullish for overall price action for the day, right? So once we hit that, we hit all three of them, that is a valid way to go short. However, it's not time, right? We want up there too fast. It's not time. It's improbable, but there is definitely a short there, right? I took this on paper. Once it went here, done the sweep, hit everything, create a fair value gap on the 15-second. There's definitely a short here. You could catch something, but you just have to close it early. Why? Because it's improbable. It's not time yet, right? When is the first time? The ending of the first macro. So we're looking around like 10:08, 10:09 to like 10:11 basically, right? So there, 10:10, we make a high. So that, if you're looking at lower time frames, does it look like we're gonna go down at that time? No, we're still respecting bullish fair value gaps, right? Here we inverse this, don't offer an entry, right? And we go down and just take the liquidity. Again, that in itself is enough, right? If you show it this, it's like 34 points, right? Look, I'm looking to catch whatever that's like straight in there, right? 34 points. That's enough to like catch a trade, to what do you call it, to like supply the main trade, right? So if it runs, and it's obvious if it's gonna run, it had to run through this sell side properly, but this sweep you just close it, right? It's not time. Then now we have the first trade, right, is bullshit. The second one, now we know is BS, and now we're waiting for the main time, right? We're looking at the 10:28 till 10:32-ish, if that's gonna make a high, and if it's gonna move from then, or we're just gonna have to wait till the 10:50 macro, right? So we make the high 10:28. I'm gonna count this as the high because there has to be an SMT. I didn't check. I'm not gonna say there has to be an SMT there, but I'm guessing there was, right? Yes, makes it high at 10:29, right? See, that's what I'm gonna count as the high, right? That, as you can see, 10:29, even though it didn't make it here, like I know what I'm talking about, right? I'm waiting for that high to be made, right? Just the fact that we didn't make a higher high here, it doesn't matter. This is my high, right? And this is the SMT high. It doesn't matter which index makes it. This is my high that I'm looking at, and this is why I expect it to be the high, right? Once that is made, it depends. Is it gonna run from there, or is it gonna run at 10:50? See, all that don't matter, because if it stalled for that long and it made accumulation, we want to have the last thing that's holding price. And this whole accumulation, as you can see, I have this prominent fair value gap that's marked. Once you inverse it, you enter, you see price doesn't even close above the midpoint of it, and then we dump. And if I remember, did I have executions on these? Yeah. So everything that I said that, well, I didn't have executions on. The first thing here, this short, buy this. Oh, this short I was just trying something. It's just purely practice, right? And I believe here are the practice ones, and I was like, alright, cool, because I didn't like what I was seeing in price. It was improbable. I didn't even have my top step open, right? At this point, I opened top step, but I still did not like anything in price. And then I just took the long, bought here and sold to the highs, because then I seen that as a probable trade, but still not as probable for me to take it on top step. And I took the short here that I'm talking about all the way to sell side, right? You can see this sell side liquidity right here, all them lows. That was my exit, right? So these don't matter. These are just straight practice, honestly, just to like see if I can do some entry, whatever. This is how I figure all this shit out. You have to practice, right? Anyway, these two are actual trades that, you can see the gap actually took. I was like, all right, cool. This is not how we're gonna dump, so let me just buy up to the high. And this is, all right, we're for sure gonna dump. Let's go down, right? So the same logic that I explained, like I took. However, this to me felt kind of improbable. And why I didn't take it on this is because I have rules against Mondays. However, this Monday is different. Why? Because this Monday is no news Monday in a bank holiday though. Like tomorrow is bank holiday, right? Tuesday. So technically this Monday is Tuesday tomorrow, right? If that makes any sense. Like the price action that if we're gonna consolidate or do anything, this movement today is basically Tuesday's movement. So I should have expected it, but for now I just have rules for no Monday, right? And that's fine. That's literally completely fine. Anyway, so let's explain the logic. So now we go to the breaker block midpoint, and you see even on the 1 minute, we're just tapping it and we're not closing above it, which means, all right, cool, we're going bearish. What time do we start dumping, right? Once we approach 10, the 1040 area, right? That's when you're like, all right, you can enter, right? And as you can see, we're closing above the low, and here we're closed above the low with the volume imbalance right there. See, that is fine right here. I want a bit more distance, right? One more candle, more distance. All right, perfect. Boom. I enter on the low of it, right? Stop loss above the high of it, and just let it run. Trust it. And that is a really, really good setup that happens a lot. If we go up to go down, basically a market maker sell model in itself. However, this is not meant to be the trade for the day, right? Because it just took so long. The trade for the day is here. And I'm going to explain that because, like I said, it was DLP4, right? And DLP4, you don't do anything until you wait for discount. So now we understand this trade, the logic behind it, and why we're bullish, right? Because of here, we keep closing above the mean threshold. Boom, we are bullish, right? So once we go down, I expect this to be bullish. And why is that? Okay, the LPO, you need to wait for discount, right? And what's discount? Our range starts here as a new range, right? Once we did this, right, we take the whole range, right? So here at Asia, I want you to watch discount. Why? Wait 1 second, put it this slow. Come on, right? Discount, and then let me highlight the higher one so I can actually drag it, right? So watch discount, right? Do we reach discount? Do I have a retracement? No, we carry on, consolidate, go higher. So Asia buy side gets taken like by midnight, not even London, and then London makes a sell side without taking Asia sell side or buy side, so it makes its own like range and consolidate again. So here, what does discount go to? It doesn't go to any liquidity area really, but that means we could have had like pre-market come here, trace a liquidity for us to go higher. We don't do that. So again, we keep dragging this, right? And we don't do anything unless it's probable until we hit discount. So if we drag to this high now, and only now, we're getting signs that we can be bullish. Why? Because now discount is here, then liquidity, then PDRA. Yeah, we could have went all the way here, right? There. And then we could have dumped and we could still be bullish because then we'll go to like these lows, right? It has to be session liquidity, guys. It has to be session liquidity. Anyway, so now discount liquidity PDRA. Alright, so notice what price does, right? And let me just remember a sign for like this. Like look at 1038, that's when the price started going down. You need to see if the market, the other markets or the other indices are foreshadowing the move, right? So here at 1037, we are going down, and on ES, right? let me just pull up this. Let me see. We are going, yes, we're doing the same thing, right? YM, though, right here. Look at YM. 1037. We're already approaching London low. It's telling us what the hell is happening, right? It's already doing it. It's already trying to go to its discount, right? Of, I'm guessing, this whole range. I don't really care too much about YM, but like YM can foreshadow the move, right? So it's already doing it by that time. So NQES had to catch up, right? That's one more information that I had to make sure that you look for on that move. So now we understand all of this, right? Now we understand our short. Short done. We know the entry. We know why, and we are now bullish on price based on all them reasons. Okay. Now, once we go down, discount, right? Boom, there. Liquidity there. PD array there. Why? Because once we put the 10-hour candle, once we open, then and only then do we have our PD arrays under there, right? And just let me mark discount right here so you can see it, and then let's look at the daily. Do you see anything on the daily right there under discount, right? I said we don't need to pull another chart, but you're just gonna have to try look through, right? Upper quadrant, right? Let me just put it right there. That's above discount, and like I don't see anything else. Does not matter, right? So that is gonna get deleted. 4-hour. What do we have? If you zoom closely, below discount and the liquidity, it's a 4-hour fair value gap. Won't you look at that? And that is what that blue line is highlighted as the CE. On top of that, if we didn't have anything, again, 1 hour, this is another fair value gap, right? Right there. And we're gonna just put this to the CE of it, and we're gonna make this is gonna be the thicker one. Okay, so on top of that, we have, let me just turn this off. On top of that, our opening range gap, was a magnet for price to push us down to get into it, right? We want to see at least the upper quadrant, the midpoint, and it depends, right, if we're going to close it, but at least we want to see that we're going to fill something of it, right, before just moving higher like that, because that don't make sense. And where does the upper quadrant line up? Right there. So now we have discount, okay, liquidity, and 3 PD arrays. Okay, we have the upper quadrant of the opening range gap, the CE of the 4-hour gap, the CE of the 1-hour gap, right? And I'm just gonna use the 4-hour one, right? And you want price to not go like the maximum from a PD array. Let's say let's say this is my PD array, is 5 handles, right? Let's say that's the top one. So price could have went to here, right? And this would still be valid, but if it went over 2.5, right, from it, there can't be like body closures below that PD array. Is the only reason I say that is because there will always be a stack of PD arrays next to each other. More time you're gonna find 1 or 2, right? And you're not gonna see the extra one that it went to, right? And that's why it wicks even lower to do the damage, right, below the liquidity, but also visit the PD arrays. Now and only now is your time. And what do I teach? Once we do this so late, past 11:30, right, we activate one of the models, which is a delayed Judah. This is our Judah move, right? Really and truly, this is a delayed Judah. once you get this, once you buy it, and let me show you how you buy it, right? For me, I can't lie, to be just safe, once we hit everything and make a reaction, just take the first 15-second gap, right? It's as simple as that. Take the first 15-second gap. If you're wrong on liquidity, right? If you're wrong and it's bullish, it's gonna give you 75 handles minimum, right? That's your 75 handles. If you're right, it's gonna go above to at least the end of the day. You look for like 355 or something like that, basically near the end of the day, right? And then take profit then, or wait for the 0.5 standard deviation. I'm going to explain that real quick. So because this Judah is too big, right? It's not just a Judah at the end. No, if it's a Judah here, then we're looking at like maybe 4 standard deviation, right? So let me just get rid of this, right? So let's do negative 2.5. Well, it's going to be 1.5, right? Because just think of it the opposite way. So let's write 1.5. Or remember, near the end of the day, you just take liquidity. Then you just want it to expand above that big manipulation. So we're looking at 1.5. You can see what's the end of the day, like 355 there. Oh, we dump exactly at 355. Regardless, it gets so close, but it will hit it. Look, it's making relative equal highs. Like if you want to hold through the night or whatever, but come on, this is good enough, right? So is your entry, and I said like 15-second. Oh, you're giving you free ass model one. Anyway, right there, enter anywhere really in it, right? Because it has a volume imbalance, technical suspension. Look, stop loss always has to be below the low, regardless, until we reach specific rules, right? And boom, you aim for this, right? That's nice. Near the end, and let's say you just decide to close it around here. To me, that's a nice risk to reward, right? This happens at least once a week, I'm pretty sure, right? So this is a day for pure expansion. It happens at least once a week, and it's one of my main models, right? This short is nice. The long was nice, right? I can see both. I can see the short, and I caught the short, and then I went off, and then the long appeared, right? If I was looking for longs, but I was done. Right? I was done. I didn't need to. And yes, this is just me practicing, right? Because it was a Monday, I felt like it was improbable, and even when I was watching this, I could see some reasons why it could fail. Like it was probably B plus setup. This one, this is A, right? This is B plus setup, and I personally did not want to even risk on a B plus, right? I'm not feeling it. Not today. Not feeling it, right? Low-key going against my rules because I said I don't want to trade the Monday, but there is a reason, and it's a bank holiday on tomorrow, so tomorrow doesn't count. And yeah, that's why I didn't trade it. Anyway, this is the market recap. I feel like everything there should have been covered, right? The fact that we have went above that daily, right? Mean threshold, right? If you're looking at big time frame PD arrays, what we're looking for. So I'm looking first at like this wick, right? How do we treat the CE? Do we reach it? Blah blah blah. As you can see, the high of it, the high of yesterday, right, was the lower quadrant. So if I was just watching that and I seen this reaction from it, that tells you close the goddamn trade. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there's a lot of shit to this, but you don't need to get it is crazy with it. However, this is pretty simple. Repeating day discount liquidity PD array version 4, and yeah, the short as one of my models, the long is one of my models, right? So some days I will have my models appear and some days I won't, and right now it's my job to only wait for my models to appear, and if my models don't, then how about I don't trade, or just trade on paper until I make even more new models so I can find them more and more. Sounds simple, right? It's pretty simple. And I'm perfecting these models and this shit is crazy. Anyway, this is the market recap. I actually gotta go out of here. So yeah, I feel like I covered everything. Honestly, the shorts, just a reminder, big opening range gap, right? 1050, right? Relative equal lows. London is the target because that's a discount. This is like first TP, right? And on top of that, there's one little detail. We don't make the first, this is 930 gap, we don't make the first presented fair value gap until here, which was also used in the short. Right? This was the first presented fair value gap. And as you can see, it was holding price up here. And it's the one. And it's inside this big gap as well. So that's why I didn't bother to like mention it. But pay attention to the first presented fair value gap, because if this was the first presented fair value gap, that was a place to take profits because we could SMT. But the logic is saying no, right? The logic was saying we're going up to go down to go up, and these are one of the best days because I can take this on one account and take this on another account, and happy days. I'm done for the week in one day. That's what I'm aiming for, and this month is gonna be fix my psychology, pick 1 to 2 trades a week possibly, and that's it. Just risk big on them and take the only highest probability. Anyway, I feel like I'm so close, and I think it'll take me 2 more months, and then I'm basically there. Peace out, boys.